Om Kayena vacha manasyendrayirva Bhutyatmanava prakriti swabhava Karomi adyat sakalam paresma Narayana samarpayami Narayana samarpayami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. In this series of videos, we are going to talk about Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, of divine love, of God realization. So we are going to talk about the Narada Bhakti Sutras, a beautiful work attributed to sage Narada that talks about in full length of the path of devotion. May you all find inspiration in this work. May you all find meaning and purpose in your spiritual quest through these words. This kind of work, these words, these sutras, they bring light and they open the door to the life of the real quest for liberation. May you also find divine love in your heart. So let's talk about the origin of the Narada Bhakti Sutras. I will read the story and comment whatever is necessary. So this was a dialogue between the sage Narada and Sri Ved Vyas, the one that compiled the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, so on. So Sri Ved Vyas was staying in this hermitage of Badrikashram. One day, Narada went to the ashram in the course of his wanderings, because Narada always is wandering through the three worlds, never staying in one place for so long. Sri Ved Vyas welcomed the rishi with due rites. It was appropriate to receive sages, saints, self-realized beings, all of this with due respect, and said, "Man seeks freedom, but without devotion it is dry. Devotion is the only way for attaining salvation. All others have importance only insofar as they are auxiliary to it. I humbly ask you to explain me the virtue of devotion." So here is the one who has compiled the Vedas, a seer that has seen all that knowledge. So much knowledge has went through him that he has reached this conclusion. And with so much erudition, the level of humbleness, he asks sage Narada to explain him the virtue of devotion. So I will break it down a little bit. Man seeks freedom, but without devotion it is dry. There's no life in the spiritual process without devotion, because devotion is like the water in the land. It gives life to it. It is life itself, and so is devotion. It is the life of the spiritual process. It is life itself. So those who are trying to reach the highest through meditation or whatever spiritual discipline, but are not cultivating devotion, they are doing something else. And he continues, devotion is the only way for attaining salvation, is the only way to attain God, is the only way to transcend illusion, because it is a love story. That's what it is. All others have importance only insofar as they are auxiliary to it. all other spiritual disciplines, Vedvyas says, they are only important if they help develop devotion. So, in his perspective, he is saying that all other spiritual disciplines, they are only important if they are helping to develop emotion by purifying the mind, purifying the heart, making one fit to have a pure heart from where devotion can spring. I humbly ask you to explain me the virtue of devotion. So Sri Vedvyas begs sage Narada to explain him the virtue of devotion, the teachings of devotion. So Narada said, your disciple has already discussed the problem of action in the Purva Mimamsa. You yourself completely the inquiry of the problem of knowledge, Jnana, in the Uttara Mimamsa. Now you have taken the problem of devotion. Its full explanation will be given by you in your Srimad Bhagavatam. So this, Sri Vedvyasa, after this, compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, because a seer brings down the knowledge if he is fit, if God blesses him in that way, he brings down the knowledge again and again. So Narada told him that the full explanation on devotion would be given by himself, because he would bring down that knowledge from God directly in his work Srimad Bhagavatam. But, said sage Narada, I shall explain bhakti in the form of sutras for your benefit. So Narada delivered the discourse on devotion in 84 aphorisms. The collections of these sutras are known as the Narada Bhakti Sutras. A very beautiful work. Now we will talk a little bit about the life of Narada. I will read a short story and comment on what is important. So, Devarishi Narada moves about playing on his veena, singing the praises of Sri Hari, drawing the hearts of people towards God, thus radiating joy, love, and peace throughout the afflicted world. Glory to Devarshi Narada. So he's a wanderer, he's a God's messenger that goes about singing up the praises of God through the three worlds, taking his message wherever it is more needed and possible of being received. Through the power of yoga, he can go wherever he likes in the twinkling of an eye. The misunderstandings and quarrels he creates are all intended for the good of the world. He inspired Valmiki, Vyas, Sukadev, Prahlada, Dhruva, and other great souls to practice devotion. So he has been an important character in the divine play, taking God's message and inspiring others into God realization. Narada was the son of a female servant in a former birth. A large number of saints, sages, and sannyasis came to his village during a certain rainy season to spend their 4 months of Chaturmas, which is a sacred period. Narada was a small child at the time, said as 5 years of age. His mother engaged him in their service, in the service of the saints. He was not childish. He gave up childish plays. He spoke very few words. He served them beautifully and wholeheartedly. He served them all the time, quietly at their feet. He was very mature for his age. And to be able to serve saints is a blessing which he got very early age, and by his behavior, he was mature enough for that. The Mahatmas were very much pleased with the boy. So it was important in these relationships of disciples and masters, either sages, saints, self-realized beings, that due respect was shown, maturity was shown, the right attitude was shown, so that when the saint, the Mahatma, became pleased with them, meant that they were ready for that knowledge. They were extremely kind to him. As ordered by them, they ate what was left of the food left by them on the leaves. And the food of these Mahatmas was never taken without offering it to God. So it was not ordinary food, it was prasad. It was filled with God's power, with God's energy. So his sins were destroyed by this act. His heart became pure. He heard the beautiful stories of Sri Krishna recited by them. He gradually developed bhakti. So this is what comes by associating with the sages and saints and self-realized beings. His mind became firm and steady. The Mahatmas gave him special instructions and revealed the secret divine knowledge. The Mahatmas left the village. The boy continued with his sadhana. He did bhajan. One day, a snake bit his mother and she died. The boy left the village and went to a dense forest. He sat underneath a peepal tree on the bank of a river and meditated on Lord Hari. So when his mother died, he took a hold of his life and used it to get away from the city, from the villages, to a secluded place, and started to meditate on God. The Lord revealed himself in his heart. The hairs of his body stood erect. He forgot all about the world and even about himself, the consciousness of its own existence. He was immersed in the ocean of bliss, which is God's presence in one's heart. Then suddenly the form of Sri Hari disappeared. The boy was very much grieved. He was attached to the Lord. He again tried to have the vision of the Lord. He heard a voice from the sky. "O child, you cannot again get my vision in the present birth. I reveal myself to you now in order to increase and strengthen your love towards me. You have created strong devotion to me through the influence of satsang, even for a short time. Satsang, the association with the awakened one or the saints, the sages. When you leave your present body, you will be a devotee very dear and near to me." This is God saying to Narada. "You will be attached to me and you will remember me through my grace. And you will remember through my grace the incidents of your present birth even after the termination of this kalpa, this cycle of creation." So God is telling Narada that he will remember his life after that body dies by his grace, and he will remember everything until the end of that cycle of creation. The boy left the place and moved about in the world, singing the glories and names of the Lord. He gave up association with the world. In course of time, his body perished. He attained the pure divine body of a companion of God. So this is what happens to the most pure and devoted to God. They attain a permanent place at His side. And this can cause confusion to many. At the end of the Kalpa, he entered the heart of Brahma through his breath when he lay down on the ocean of dissolution of creation, withdrawing the entire creation within himself. At the end of 1,000 yugas, he came out from his breath with Maricha and other rishis when Brahma began to recreate the world. Since then, Narada is moving throughout the three worlds, playing on the Veena, a gift from God himself, in divine love, and sings his sports. That very moment, he appears before him. Narada is endowed with the knowledge of all fruits of the Vedas. He knows Dharma well. He has perfect knowledge of the Itihasas, stories like Ramayana and Mahabharata, and the Puranas, the texts about God and his forms that God creates to be amongst his devotees, to share divine love. He has the knowledge of the facts of the previous kalpa, of the previous creation. He is a master of music. He is an eloquent speaker. He possesses direct vision of all the regions through his power of yoga. He is a great teacher of devotion. He is the very embodiment of devotion. So this is what Narada stands, an embodiment of devotion. Narada is one of the wisest of all sages. He is ever engaged in austerities, giving an example and maintaining his tuning with God. He is a great ascetic. He rose from a low position to the highest spiritual glory through divine grace and self-effort. They come together. They go hand in hand. He is a jnani, a yogi, and a bhakta in one. He is a knower of Brahman. He is a seer of the Vedic mantras. He is a savior because he brings the divine love, the access to that, the remembrance of God to all. He is a reformer. He is honored everywhere throughout the three worlds. He is a great master in the art of reconciling others. He is endowed with intellectual penetration, tact, humility, forbearance, tranquility, self-control, truthfulness, compassion, firm love for God. He is ever doing what is auspicious. There's no other way, because Narada is a vessel, an instrument of God. He is one of the 10 spiritual sons of Brahma. He went to Sanat Kumara for attaining wisdom. He admitted that his vast erudition could not remove the burden of sorrow. Therefore, Sanat Kumara illumined him about the infinite bliss, Bhuma, the Absolute. Narada is the friend, philosopher, guide, and counselor of all gods, demon, and men. Through the grace of Narada, Dhruva was enthroned permanently in his celestial abode. Narada takes into his care Hiranya's wife, which was a demon, who was then carrying Prahlada. Narada has been a source of noble and valuable inspiration to those who have sought him and found him. May the blessings of Devarshi Narada be upon you all. The life of a sage is always an inspiration and a bliss to the world. Let's talk a little bit about devotion, an introduction to devotion. So the path of bhakti consists of gradual steps where the desire for liberation is the starting point. So what this means is that the path of bhakti, of devotion, the only qualification needed is the desire for liberation. Just with that, it can start. Parabhakti, or higher devotion, is the goal. It is parabhakti that leads to mukti, liberation. Matter of fact, parabhakti is liberation. Everyone is competent to follow the path of devotion. Desire for release, mumukshutva, is the minimum qualification. So like I said previously, it's the minimum qualification. Different from other things that people sometimes start for other reasons. But in this case, even if you don't have the rest, if you have desire for liberation, you can start. Some question that God is far above the power of comprehension of men. How can we cultivate devotion to Him if we don't know Him? If He is above my power, the power of man to understand? So the keys are: live in the companies of the saints, like we have seen in the story of Narada, the profound impact serving the saints had to him. So one of the ways of cultivating bhakti is to live in the company of the saints, to dedicate yourself to serve the saints, the self-realized ones. Hear the Leelas of God, listening to the stories of God. Study the sacred scriptures. Worshipping Him, God, in His several forms manifested in the world. Worship any image of the Lord or Guru. Recite His name. Sing His glories. You will develop devotion. So here is a short list which is very good and tells the seeker how to develop bhakti. So living in the company of the saints, associating with the saints, sharing sanskars, being the presence of the fire of a saint. All this purifies the mind and heart and helps developing devotion. Also, listening the stories of God and His manifestations will also purify the heart and develop devotion. Studying the sacred scriptures. The sacred scriptures, they are the words of God. They are not created by humans. They are brought down by rishis that can have the vision through the blessing of God, but they are the words of God. So studying the scriptures, you are aligning yourself to God. Worship Him in His several forms manifested in the world. You can choose one of the forms, one of God's incarnations. Not only His incarnations, but also His different forms like Vishnu, Shiva, for example. So whichever form suits better your heart, you can choose it and worship it and be in God's communion. Worship any image of the Lord or Guru. Recite His name, the mantra, God's mantras. Sing His glories, you will develop devotion. According to some, Gyan is instrumental in the cultivation of bhakti, while others say they are mutually dependent. But Narada says that bhakti is the fruit of or result in itself. because different from others. The path of bhakti starts with bhakti, with devotion, and it ends in devotion. So it's not a means to an end. It starts with the end in itself. So it is different a little bit from the others. So some are saying that Gyan, knowledge, is important in cultivation of bhakti. Others say they are interdependent, like the two wings of a bird. But Narada says it is beyond that, because of that nature. It starts with bhakti, ends with bhakti. It's not a means to an end. It is the end in itself. So it is a very sweet road. Devotion is the highest sentiment. Of all sentiments, devotion is the highest. When the devotee grows in devotion, there is absolute self-forgetfulness. This is bhav. Then it grows into mahabhav, when the devotee lives, moves, and has his being in the Lord, when he is complete, absorbed in God. So here, the self-forgetfulness, it's because he forgets about himself, the world, only God remains in him. So this is Paramaprem, the consumption of love or supreme love. There are two stages in Apara or lower bhakti. The first stage is called Gana or secondary, and the second stage is called Mukhya or primary. In Gana bhakti, there's the influence of Raja Guna. In Mukhya bhakti, there's the influence of Sattva Guna. So in this influence of Raja Guna, in this first stage, with the influence of Raja Guna, devotion is to gain something, either something worldly or something divine. Many resort to bhakti, to devotion, because they want liberation, they want a better life, or maybe the majority imagines that liberation equates to a better life. And as this is there, it's because that Raja Guna is there. So it's not pure bhakti, it is conditional love to God. And this has to be purified. And in Mukhya Bhakti, there is the influence of Sattva Guna. The mind is calm and serene. Meditation becomes firm and steady, as it is under the influence of Raja Guna. There are also tamas, but this doesn't much apply because the majority doesn't want this. But there are some that seek just to hurt other people. But as the Raja Guna is there, the mind doesn't become stable, steady. So this means Raja Guna is there. It means that love to God, that bhakti, is conditional. There is desires. There's still desires for worldly things, for the improvement of delusion. So this is conditional love, impure love. This is a love filled with Raja Guna. So when it is Sattva Guna, the mind is calm and serene, meditation becomes firm and steady, the devotee is in the presence of God, but he is still conscious of duality. and we will explain this better as we move. In Parabhakti, the devotee attains the full grace of the Lord, knowledge and full illumination, emerges in the Lord, loses his identity, he becomes one with the Lord. Love of God or devotion dethrones the ego and enthrones the Lord in its place. So God becomes the self. The climax of love is the love of God. There's no higher love than this. Service of saints, study of bhakti literature, charity, self-restraint, humility, jap, kirtan, prayer. This is the preparation for the love of God. Okay.
Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhushka sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva.